those pinpoint accurate shots, that's when you see the teams really start to do some working as well. Genji has a whale of a time once you get to the second little area on this map, but we'll have to wait and see if that is going to be the case here as we're going to jump onto the map. It is Hollywood. It's going to be Endpoint up against TLR. TLR, the first one's going to be on the offensive, and Endpoint going to be looking to defend this limousine.
And it does look like Endpoint are going to stick with that standard kind of 2-2-2 composition that we were used to seeing. They've got McCree under Blizz, and Blizz did some absolutely fantastic work in their first game as Tracer, so I'm expecting big things from him as McCree as well. On the other side, we do see the 3 tanks coming out of TLR, and actually a Hanzo coming out of Sky as well. We do see Anna from Wing, and then Space with Lucio, of course, to partner that Anna. And that composition looks really strong to me, so it'll be interesting to see how Endpoint is going to deal, especially with the Anna nano boost onto Reinhardt. What kind of answer Endpoint's going to have? Are they all going to break off? Are they going to separate and make sure they get away from that push? But in that instance, they might have to give up the point, so it's going to be a very interesting one.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think things are going to be hotting up here in ESL Studio 2 in the UK. And we'll see how this game is going to go here as we have a Hanzo on the attack from TLR. I wonder how this is going to pan out. Whether he's able to land those headshots and really make things happen for his team. Nobody over towards that left, towards that flank. The side of Endpoint really stacking up to kick things off. Curious to see the positioning of these two teams as we enter the fray.
Yep, and I like the introduction of Hanzo as well. Hanzo kind of dipped out of the meta for the while, but it does mean you get that kind of Dragon Surge combo of Hanzo mixed with Xayah. It works fantastically just using that Dragon Strike effectively when Graviton Surge is down. So it'll be interesting to see where these guys go, but Reaper's going to be taken down. Actually, he manages to get away. That's fantastic work from him there, just surviving.
War Spirit, however, did end up going down. Can Scout, the first one to draw blood in this game. So TLR, they may have managed to grab themselves a kill, but they've not actually pushed onto the point just yet, and now they're finally going to start to do that and start to capture this zone as well. TLR not actually managing to get too many kills. This has been a pretty pacifistic game so far, but Showergel is going to drop, and Ayuki might just be joining him in a second as well. The nano boost has been engaged. Can Scout charging on forwards and forcing the enemies away from this one. Down goes Ayuki as well. And well, it's a pretty simple push there for TLR. They start things off right, and they're going to be able to capture the A point.
And that was what I was worried about. How are Endpoint going to respond to that nano boost? They just had no answer. Reinhardt just ran in, just was swinging aimlessly, hitting everything in his way. We do see the ultimate for Sky now as well, and he does actually just pop that one off. Just tries to catch someone off guard. It isn't going to hit anyone today, though. So that does feel like a little bit of a waste of an ultimate, and Deadeye is now ready for Blizz, and I'm expecting Blizz to pick it up here because he was doing some real work in that game 1 in their first series. So he's going to be the man I'm going to be watching to kind of bring them back into this game.
I think one thing he did achieve with that ultimate is that he basically forced everyone away. He took control of that rooftop completely from there, and if he can land his shots effectively, he should be able to get that up fairly quickly. But it's going to be Blizz landing some pretty nice shots, finds himself a second kill as well, doing a good job on this McCree, and the defenders have pretty much taken control of the payload at this stage. They're doing a fantastic job. It is going to be JMC, though, answering for the crimes of his enemies. Does end up taking out Showergel, but it's not enough to really contest the payload right now, and we're going to see TLR. They have to back away, they have to regroup, and look at how they can continue to attack now.
Yeah, looking at all those ultimates ready for Endpoint. I said, how are they going to answer this kind of nano boost combo? But they do have tools in the form of Graviton Surge, in the form of the Earth Shatter as well, but he had to back off there. He's going to use his charge, he's going to try and get him, but he doesn't catch anyone just yet. And, well, the battle just didn't go in the favor for TLR despite using that nano boost. So that was good work from Endpoint, using those ultimates defensively and really saving them, knowing when they needed to use them.
Yeah, as well, that Graviton Surge, I think, a huge part to play in that fight, is it opened up a couple of members right at the start of the fight to go down. And, you know, especially in a game like Overwatch, when it is so much down to that teamwork, if you can get the first early kills, it is often the deciding factor in these team fights. Not always the factor, but often it is the case. We'll see whether Endpoint can continue to make that happen for themselves. But here we go. It's going to be Sky looking for an angle, looking for a way to get those shurikens to connect to his targets and get a little bit of early damage down. He wants to try and get that Dragon Blade available, but it's a long way off just yet. Not that many ultimates available for either side, but Wing has managed to find a kill onto Blizz. It's good news for TLR, because it means they basically just get some free ground on this payload, because there is no way that Endpoint are going to want to find a fight without one of their DPS.
Yeah, both teams are just trying to save up their ultimates before they push in. We do see Wing now has that nano boost available, so we're going to be expecting that to come in as the team fight does happen, but Earth Shatter comes in.
Yeah, Sound Barrier as well, though, coming out for this team, and Endpoint are being taken for a walk right now. Blizz the only one remaining. He's off in the bar, as all good cowboys are. And in the end, I think he will end up getting shut down here. There's not anything that he can do to take on 6 members. And actually, I think wise there from Blizz not to kite around. He just walks in and goes, you know what, kill me now so that I can respawn with the rest of my team and actually stay in this fight. But another couple of kills coming the way of Can Scout. And that is going to mean that we have TLR pushing on forwards. Keys are looking for another. Gets Quirks down. And this is actually looking like a very, very close game. We've had multiple wipes for both teams at this point. This is what I was wanting to see. I wanted to see a series between these two teams where it is back and forth, and we are going to see both of them really giving it their best shot.
What TLR did well in that last push is we now actually see the demo coming out here, and the shield will come up, but there we go! 4 kills for Blizz. 5th one there, absolutely fantastic work there from him. The shield was up from Reinhardt, but the DPS just came in and allowed him to use that Deadeye perfectly with that Graviton Surge, so good combination of ults there. But what I was saying before is TLR, Can Scout used his Earth Shatter effectively to make sure he took the opposite Reinhardt out of the game so that Shower Gel couldn't use his Earth Shatter to stop that nano boost. So good work from TLR there.
Here we go. It is going to be Earth Shatter going down once again. The Sound Barrier is going to do a lot there, and TLR just getting wiped out once more. Space and Wing, the last 2 remaining. Just the support surviving this one. The Space is going to drop as well. Unfortunately for him as well, he wanted to get away. He wanted to regroup with his team, but actually ended up going down way after the rest of his team. So that is going to delay this next push a little bit longer as well. And TLR, they're actually starting to run out of time. 2 minutes left on the clock. They've got to get this payload in. They've got to get to that 3rd position. We'll see what it is that they can do about this one. Oh, Blizz using that Deadeye doesn't actually manage to find a kill for himself. Here comes the Dragon Blade, though. Takes out Blizz to start things off, and he's looking for the Zarya as well. Will be able to finish off War Spirit and get some Quirks as well just to round things out. Ayuki drops. And there we have it. Immediately, in the blink of an eye, TLR have turned things around, and they're pushing for the final score.
Yeah, we'll see the players from Endpoint coming off spawn now, and TLR were very quick to get that push underway because they knew that War Spirit didn't have that Graviton Surge. We now see the players pushing out, and they're going to start to get desperate, but Skytrex is doing work here. The Sound Barrier will come out as well to give as much health as possible to his team, but so does Transcendence, but the payload is still moving as Graviton Surge now finally drops from Endpoint.
Yeah, and I mean, what a little reflect as well. Managed to reflect a flashbang during all of that chaos, but here we go. I mean, I mentioned the word chaos. That is exactly what is going on. Shower Gel on the front line will get finished off. War Spirit pushed off the point as well. And we're starting to see that TLR are taking the advantage. They're wiping out these players. And that is going to be the payload pushed on in. TLR, with 1 minute and 10 remaining, push the payload home. And they set a score for Endpoint to match. Endpoint, for the first time this tournament, actually have a fight on their hands.
Yeah, I think that judging from Endpoint's first game, we weren't necessarily expecting TLR to do that well. I mean, there was only a minute left, so they were cutting it pretty fine, but the fact they got that far is quite impressive, and I wouldn't be surprised if Endpoint take a look at their composition now and say, look, okay, we need to find a way to kind of counteract what TLR are doing right now.
Yeah, I think that is fair to say, and we'll see what they come up with here, what Endpoint are going to do on this offensive side to make sure that they can break through the TLR brick wall that they're going to be building. So far, it's looking like they're sticking with this composition, the 2-2 that they've been running with. 2 DPS, 2 support, 2 tanks coming on through. Ayuki absolutely loving the Zenyatta. But is it going to be enough to break through the triple tank and Ana combo that TLR have brought to the table? It certainly feels like this defensive lineup from TLR has been the best composition that we've seen in the tournament right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've got Roadhog there to kind of get those hooks, get those pulls, initiate the fights if needs be. JMC can kind of put a bubble on Keys, or Can Scout as well. I think the Zarya Reinhardt combo with of Wing as Ana is just far too strong, because it means that CanScout can just kind of get that boost from Space as well. Space, as Lucio, can basically use that speed boost. CanScout can just push in, get that bubble off of JMC, and then Keys just runs in with damage with his pellets as well, those shotgun pellets that do an incredible amount of damage. And of course, when you have that nano boost on as well, those hammer swings are going to do absolutely crazy things and just build up that ultimate for the rest of your team. But Endpoint have to answer that that early round from TLR. It was actually a very strong showing, and I wonder if Endpoint are going to be able to break through this brick wall of TLR's 3-tank composition.
Yeah, and I've got to say, TLR, they didn't have the most convincing time. The key thing is that they actually pushed it out. They actually finished the round off. And look at this. Sky already looking for the flank. He's going to get kind of denied, though. Most of that damage will be blocked. I say that, though. The pull comes on through, and they managed to get quirks. I was not expecting that to be the case. The Reinhardt shield was still up. They had, as well, War Spirit there with the shields. That shouldn't have really happened, to be honest.
Yeah, Endpoint have switched to this 3-tank composition as well. They've clearly changed their mind. Ayuki going as Ana, but it'll be whether they're comfortable with this composition. If it's not something they're used to playing, and they're just switching to try and mirror, then this could be an easy game for TLR, because TLR look really comfortable. Wing has got his ultimate first as Ana, so we might see Reinhardt push in to try and get some kills now.
Absolutely. Nice little stun, but the nano boost comes on through for both sides at this stage. The Reinhardts are running around swinging their hammers. That's going to be a couple of kills going the way of CanScout, but he will get shut down in the end. A couple of shots come out from Blizz, but can't quite finish off his target. Now he pushes on in. Has Deadeye available, but there will be a hook ready to take him out if he dares to go for that from Keys. Again, 6 versus 6. The nano boosts have been used, so we won't see any super tanks charging around in this fight, and this is going to just be a battle of mechanics to some extent. Blizz is the first one to get a kill. High Noon comes on out as well, will be able to grab a couple for himself. What a spin coming out from CanScout, blocks the High Noon in the end, but it's not going to stop him going on a rampage as Blizz gets Keys. Now we're into the eyes of Quirks. Whole Hog is going to be the story of this little match right now, as he melts 2 players' health bars down, knocks them away from the point, and just about secures the A point for Endpoint.
Yeah, it's not quite as quick as TLR did it, but it is still an impressive push there from Endpoint. I was expecting a better hold from TLR, but Endpoint said, look, okay, if you guys are going to go for 3 tanks, we will match you, and we will just mirror exactly what you're doing. And I think that is the only way you can kind of beat this incredible composition at the moment, is just to try and match it. And it seems like it is working for Endpoint, and we see Ayuki now has the nano boost available, and it'll be whether they're going to go for this or whether they will wait and use it maybe as like a counteractive ultimate to Wings, which is charging. He's on 93%, as we do see now. The team fight, and Winston just getting absolutely shut down.
Yeah, Shower Gel unfortunately seems to have run out and going to have to wait for his roommate to buy another bottle at this rate, but it's going to be TLR taking the advantage in this fight, because they finished off Blizz as well. And Endpoint kind of shut down on that push. They had control of the payload for a little bit there. They got the first checkpoint, but unfortunately weren't able to really push that limousine too much before getting shut down by TLR. And that's all TLR need to do. They don't have to fully win a team fight. They don't need to get a team kill. They just have to delay this push as long as possible, so long as they can at least make sure that if it's even, that they have a decent score. But here we go, Graviton Surge, along with the damage coming out from Sky. That's easily enough to win a team fight. Ayuki becomes the solo player for Endpoint, and he might have just reached the end point of his life.
And what was important there is Ayuki actually did use his nano boost onto Shower Gel, but Shower Gel just got caught up in that Graviton Surge, and the DPS was able to just come in, and the nano boost isn't as good on Winston. Yes, okay, it's good, but they don't have that Reinhardt who has that armor, and when you've got that damage reduction as well as the armor, it's crazy as another hook comes out, and we're going to have another fight here as Endpoint are starting to get a little bit desperate with their pushes.
Yeah, Whole Hog is available as well as that Earth Shatter. That's going to be so much damage coming across. Oh, all in all, actually, after both of those ultimates, it's still just a 1-for-1, so not ideal scenario right now. JMC trying to dish out the damage, but he's got an angry monkey punching him in the face, and that's not a situation anyone wants to find themselves in. Sound Barrier comes out for Endpoint, but they're running out of players right now. There's another Death Blossom coming down. It's going to finish off Lucio. Shower Gel drops as well. And well, Endpoint, they're really struggling at this stage. 2 minutes and 30 still to work with. They've got time. They're not out of sorts just yet. But TLR, they're certainly making this a challenge, and this is the point of the map that Endpoint pretty much couldn't defend at all. This was the point that TLR really pushed on home, and then it was later on that Endpoint were able to defend a little bit harder. I think one of the players has disconnected from the game.
Yeah, I think I just saw in chat a player had disconnected, so we will find out what's going to happen. We'll get an admin's ruling as to what is going on here. But it was looking good for TLR, and this is what I was expecting, actually. Endpoint, it just seemed like they were struggling a little bit. I'm not sure when the disconnect actually happened, but TLR are looking in good shape right now.
Absolutely. Blizz is back. I would assume, my experience of casting other esports, I would assume that the rules are if you do get a DC at that stage in the game, unlucky, you're too far into the game, and that's just how it goes. But the player is back at this stage, so we'll be able to continue the game. And he's back with a vengeance, because he's already finished off CanScout, and he'll be looking for more. Graviton Surge, the Nano Boost comes out into the Reinhardt, but it's just completely shut down by the CC. And now it's going to be all about Sky on that Reaper, trying to finish off these players, but it's TLR's players that are dropping first. Keys, the first one to go down in this fight, but a single casualty finally gets followed up by JMC as well. TLR, though, not able to make this happen.
Yeah, they're not. Endpoint should be able to get to this next checkpoint despite the disconnect, and I'm glad they was able to rejoin and they were able to get that push. But it did mean that TLR had that Graviton Surge, and JMC did use it to try and stall that Nano Boost that came in onto Shower Gel, and Shower Gel got caught up in that Graviton Surge. But whilst that happened, the Graviton Surge is now coming in again, but from Endpoint this time.
Yeah, but it's going to be TLR managing to make their way through it regardless. They're the only one with a kill right now, and Sky narrowly escapes with his life. That could be all they need, though, to keep just delaying. 30 seconds left. Sky finally gets shut down, but War Spirit is traded straight for it. And this is not looking good right now for Endpoint. They've got to make something happen, and the sound barrier might just be the catalyst to that. Quirks here on the Roadhog, trying to find a hook, trying to find something to finish these players off, but here comes Shower Gel. Earth Shatter is available. Maybe that's the key, but a beautiful little shield coming out from Zarya is going to stop that Earth Shatter, knocking down the Reinhardt. The Nano Boosts are there, but it's only going to be TLR's that matters. 3 seconds on the clock. Overtime. Is it going to come in? Yes. I think it was Ayuki managed to get on that point just about in time, but can they actually hold on to this one? Quirks on the point, gets a nice little hook, finishes off JMC. They've managed to find their way back in here. The heal comes through as well. And ladies and gentlemen, I think Endpoint might just be able to push this one through. They get the checkpoint. And I mean, they are fighting tooth and nail, clawing their way back into this series. I thought that was just going to be over right there. Wing gets headshot out. Blizz finds another kill. And Endpoint, they're still in the match.
Yeah, War Spirit did really well to survive there alongside Quirks. They just kind of said, look, okay, we're tanks. We can just sustain all this damage. If we kind of focus the right thing together, we can just stay on this payload and allow our team to get there quickly, which is exactly what they did. And now they've got one final push to try and get as high as the Deadeye does come out here, and the payload is moving, but kills are coming out, and 2 members of Endpoint are going down here.
Yeah, this is a strong defense from TLR so far. Blizz did answer for 1, but Sky managed to get 3 for his trouble, so I don't think it's too much of an issue for TLR at this stage, as they take complete control once again of that Endpoint, and then spray paint all over that nice new coat of paint on the car. A little bit rude there, to be quite honest. That's an expensive car, you know, mate. But here we go. The push once again coming through from Endpoint. They're looking to get this one home. They've got 20 seconds to do it, so it's this team fight or it's never going to happen. Sound barrier comes through for TLR. They're looking to take this first map against Endpoint, the favourites of the group, the ones we were expecting to pretty much walk away with this one. Sky comes down with the Death Blossom. TLR are going to win yet another fight. It's all in the hands of Musashi right now. He's got to contest this and push it into overtime. He does manage to get it into overtime, but it is too little too late. Or is it Diva arrives on the scene? War Spirit continuing this game on, and there's a couple of members down for TLR. Maybe Endpoint can make this happen. They've got to push it in now or never. High Noon is not going to find anyone, and that is going to be on cooldown now, as he needs to land these left clicks. He needs to get the headshots, and Keys is going to be the first one to fall. Graviton Surge comes on through, though. Can they finish any of these kills off? There's no follow-up to it. TLR, they're in overtime, but they've got to wipe out Endpoint right now, or they're not going to be able to defend. This is a phenomenal play coming out from Endpoint. They might just be able to keep things going for themselves. Nano Boost now onto the likes of CanScout. He's charging forward, and he's wiping people off the face of the earth. Endpoint might just be about to go down at this stage. TLR are looking to finish things off. Quirks goes down. There's just a couple of members left. War Spirit is going to be knocked out of his mech and knocked out of the server. I think that might be the defense completed. Endpoint, after a stellar final push, gets shut down. And TLR, they're going to take away Hollywood.
Well, well, well. Were we expecting that? I mean, I kind of predicted it, but I don't want to throw that one out there. But I tell you what, TLR did really well towards the end. They chose to nano boost Reaper rather than Reinhardt in that initial kind of defense when it first went to overtime, and Reaper just charged in whilst nano boosted, used Death Blossom, and just he just rained down hell on the tanks because they are so big and so easy to shoot. He was able to finish them off. Player of the game coming out of Can Scout, who did a lot, to be honest, in that game. He had the nano boost in his bottom quite often that game, and he just kind of charged in and did some fantastic work with it.
Yeah, he certainly did, and well, TLR, they take the lead in this series. I think this is something that a lot of the viewers at home as well weren't necessarily expecting. But I mean, we talked to the teams before the games tonight and a couple of days ago, and I mean, when you were talking to Endpoint, you were saying that, you know, they had said, if there's anyone in this group that can take us on, if there's a challenge that's going to be ahead of us, it will be TLR. Yeah,
when I was speaking to Ayuki, he said they are quite well practiced last resort, so that they could kind of surprise us. He said he wouldn't be surprised if they did lose, but he still expected to beat last resort. So they're not going to be happy with that first map, and they clearly had to kind of change their composition. They weren't happy with what they were doing. They had to match the composition of last resort, and now going into this next map, perhaps they will start with that kind of 3 tanks plus Ana just to try and get the ball rolling earlier this time.
Well, we'll have to wait and see if that is going to be what comes on out. And I think that is kind of the key thing in this series so far, is the fact that Endpoint had to change their strategy just to match the strategy of their opponents. And I think it might just be simply a matter of practice. If TLR are used to this composition, if they've been playing this in competitive and things, then maybe that's all it takes. But, you know, if anything, I wouldn't have been expecting TLR to have practiced this composition too much. We've been talking about how they're essentially a mixed team, right? They've previously practiced, but if they've kind of semi-disbanded recently, then maybe this is a composition that they won't have practiced. It's only been out for about 5 days, this composition.
Maybe it's the right time to reform and to get back together. I mean, if you're beating the #1 seed in this tournament, then you're doing something right. So perhaps they might reconsider this kind of split that they had, and they're looking for different teams, and they might kind of resolve any personal issues that were in that kind of split up. But for now, they're doing a phenomenal job, and they're taking down Endpoint in that first map was, like you said, I don't think many people were expecting it, and the only reason why I expected it was just because of that confidence in the composition that is just performing so well in the meta right now.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to be jumping onto the second map now, which I believe is Kings Row once more.
I think so.
Is that correct?
I
think we've had Kings Row second for basically every game now, which is the UK Premiership. I'm never going to complain about Kings Row. If anyone was watching the community tournaments a little while ago, they'll know that. But I'm completely wrong. It is, in fact, Dorado second. So I'll eat my words for that one. And then the third map will be Watchpoint Gibraltar as well. Unfortunately, in the Overwatch universe, no longer belongs to the British Empire. It was absorbed by Overwatch. It belongs to Overwatch as a country now. So there you go. Fun fact about Gibraltar.
Good fun fact. I like that one. But going in, so we've got Dorado, second map. So obviously, last resort, they did play Dorado in their game. That was their opening game that they performed very well on it, actually. And their composition worked very well. So it's going to be how Endpoint react to that. I wonder whether Endpoint were watching that game and whether they've kind of decided any strategies because of that. I honestly think they've got to just match it, and they've got to go for that 3 tanks. They'll probably go with 2 supports and 1 kind of flex, just maybe something like a Reaper or a Tracer, whatever they're confident with. I think just having that DPS, because if you're not really sure about this 3 tank, 3 support, I still think that kind of 6th player as a DPS does help, just kind of get you in a kind of familiar zone.
It's almost like that slightly warm water, almost like the training pool for kids at the side before you jump into the deep end, maybe. But certainly, I think, especially if you've got multiple players on your squad that are much more comfortable on those DPS heroes and maybe don't have the same experience on things like D.Va, like Reinhardt and things, then maybe that's the best way to go about this so you can continue to do things. And as well, I like the use of Mei that we've sometimes seen out of these teams as well, because against tanks, Mei being able to freeze them up can be absolutely huge because it opens the rest of your team to just land those headshots immediately. But here we go. We're going to be jumping onto the second map in this series. This is a best of 3. And the best of 3 is currently being led by TLR 1-0. And now we'll see whether Endpoint can set a pretty decent score here, moving into the second map right now, which is going to be Dorado.
At the moment, Endpoint are just leaning towards that 2 tank. maybe they're just saying, look guys, okay, we did alright when we were just going with that 2-2-2, let's just stick with what we know, not stink. You didn't stink, Endpoint, you did okay. They just need to stick with what they know, stick to their guns, and just try and take down TLR with whatever composition they have. And they had answers for it. They were using their ultimates defensively very well, so I don't think they should necessarily mirror TLR just to try and kind of get in the game. I thought they were doing okay with their normal 2-2-2. But we will see the 3 tanks coming out of TLR and Junkrat coming out of Skytrix, which is actually an interesting choice. But we did see him pick Junkrat in their first game as well, so I'm not entirely surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, on the defense, this was the map that he picked it on. He just spammed those bombs on through the tunnel, and it really made it difficult for the push of his opponents. But already we see a different strategy to what we saw earlier on this map, just holding beyond this first choke point, making sure that they don't overextend on the defense here. And Endpoint, they get a little bit of distance for free, and if they can win this first team fight, they'll basically just win the first checkpoint on the spot right there. Blizz trying to get some damage down. We'll be able to get another couple of cheeky extra shots there. Actually get some free damage onto the Roadhog as well. But the tank's still holding strong right now, and it is going to be TLR that are winning out this team fight. 3 already down for Endpoint. But that's going to be a nice little kill coming out from War Spirit in the end, who had so much percent charged up, is going to be able to just melt health bars.
So Endpoint have switched to 3 tanks, but there is no Ana. I wonder whether that's going to be a switch that's going to be made later, or whether they're just happy with the 3 tanks right now. Wing is not quite charged up. You can see that percentage just rattling up as he is firing bullets into the back of Keys and just make sure he's healing him up. And we will now see the nano boost almost ready. Deadeye does come out, but it does look like TLR are just going to try and avoid that one from Blizz. And we now see Whole Hog coming out and doing absolute damage, but Graviton Surge will stop him promptly.
And Can Scout finds himself 4 to work with. Beautiful bit of play coming out from TLR. The Graviton Surge and then the German warrior himself. Can Scout looking a little bit proud of himself on that one. And there we have it. I believe that was an Earth Shatter coming on through from him to finish off that combo, and well, in fact, it wasn't even their Graviton Surge. JMC didn't even use one, so it was just Can Scout literally sweeping house alongside Keys and the Death Blossom from Skytrix. But let's see what Endpoint have to say about it. 2 minutes still on the clock before they need to absolutely get this first checkpoint. And already they're looking for a couple of kills. It is going to be JMC and Musashi trading kills, though. Can Scout the first one to go down. He was the big spanner in the works in the last fight. Maybe that's going to be enough for Endpoint to make something happen here. But TLR still winning out, as Quirks is going to be the one to drop. Sound Barrier comes out from Endpoint as well. And that should be enough for them to finish things off right now. Wing is going to drop before Nano Boost can come through. And suddenly they're running out of defenders, and this checkpoint will be reached. They should be able to push this one home. And there we have it. We are going to see that Endpoint are onto the map finally. They've made their presence known, and now they're going to be able to push on further. 4 minutes until they need to get the next checkpoint. That's a decent amount of time to work with.
Yeah, Endpoint doing very well to push extremely quickly, because they knew TLR had already used their nano boost. They knew that Wing didn't quite have it yet, so they were like, look, let's get a push, let's make this fight whilst it's even. Now Wing does have his nano boost ready, so we will be expecting that, but I like the positioning from Blizz. He's just trying to get up high to use that Deadeye effectively. Graviton Surge is nearly ready for War Spirit as well, so we might see those two combine those two.
Well, Keys and Sky have already found themselves a couple of kills, so this is looking good for TLR at this early stage of the fight. And Whole Hog comes on through, so Space picks one up on top of everything, and well, Endpoint, Ascent running with their tails between their legs, whimpering off to spawn to heal and to regroup, because, well, what a strong defense coming out from TLR. They did use a couple of ultimates, though, so maybe this is the opportunity now for Endpoint to return the favor, and it is going to be War Spirit starting things off. That Graviton Surge is going to get them the kill onto Keys, and they should be able to follow up as well onto JMC. And there's a couple of other kills that happened during that fight as well. Shower Gel finds one, and Sky, the last man remaining, will be able to get away with his life, but won't be able to get any kind of defense on the go right there. So trading evenly, these two teams, blow for blow, team fight for team fight. And Endpoint, they get some distance, but they won't be able to get this checkpoint just yet.
Yeah, Wing tried to use that nano boost on Can Scout there as like a defensive option, but unfortunately he kind of got held up in that Graviton Surge and he wasn't really able to utilize it. But we will see Deadeye now for Blizz. He's been kind of holding on to that for a while now, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to pick off anything. He's desperately waiting and actually manages to get 2 kills with it. 3 now with the nice use of that revolver there.
Yeah, sick stuff coming out from Blizz there. That shouldn't have been allowed to happen, I don't think, but it was perfectly timed and perfectly positioned, that Deadeye. He just came out and basically said, look, you can contest the payload or you can die. Those are your two options. I already know your Reinhardt shield is out of charge. What are you going to do about it? And now, that means that Endpoint have pushed into this final zone. The final S-Bend is all they've got to try and contest with, and if they can make this happen, they will be able to get 3 points on the board for themselves. And I think, to be honest, when you're 1-0 down in the series, you're going to need this, if not for anything other than morale.
I think Endpoint have just said, look, okay, you can use that nano boost. We're going to let you kind of clear one wave, but then as soon as you have, we're going to push extremely quickly and not allow you to have that ready. So the nano boost will come down, but look how quickly he is shut down. Quirk's doing some great work with Winston there, just making sure he's targeting each individual perfectly, and he's clearly communicating with his team as to who he needs to be targeting here.
Not sure I'd be jumping at Reaper if I was a Winston, but it is going to be a nice little bit of play coming out from Endpoint, shutting down that nano boost immediately, and it's on cooldown for so long at this stage. She's not going to be able to charge that up quick enough again. And look at this, they're just cleaning house right now. All they've got to do is lock them in spawn, and they will be able to push the payload home. What a convincing finish to that map. After a bit of a rocky start, they were struggling on the first point. They struggled a little bit. It was kind of blow for blow on the second, and then it felt like they were just ramping up the longer the map went on.
And I love that they didn't even feel the need to use Ana there as well. They just said, look, yeah, okay, well, we'll match you with 3 tanks, but we think that our supports are better than yours, and we don't even mind not having that nano boost. And you just saw at the end there how quickly the Reinhardt got shut down. You don't see that happen as often. Usually when you've got that nano boost, you are able to survive, but he was there, he was like, yep, okay, I'm nano boost, and I'm dead. It was so quick. Absolutely fantastic work from the DPS at Endpoint there, and this is the Endpoint that I was expecting to see.
Yeah. I think one thing as well is that was a little bit of a misplay by Wing. I don't think that was a wise nano boost at that stage. It was too late. His health bar was already so low. It was going to be so difficult to actually save his life at that stage. But here we go. Round 2 begins. And TLR, they're 1-0 up in the series, but 3-0 down on the map. They've got to match that score.
I think that happened a couple of times in the last round as well. Wing used that nano boost defensively rather than taking the initiative and using it offensively despite being the defending team. He just got caught out the Reinhardt there when he was used. So I'd like to see Wing make better use of these nano boosts now they are attacking.
Here we go. Tortillas and tacos available, but I'm not sure these guys are hungry for food. They are hungry for victory at this stage. Let's see what TLR are going to be able to do about this one. 20 seconds until the payload is going to be underway, and a bit more of an aggressive defense coming out from Endpoint here. They've got this forward position on the balcony instead of waiting like their opponents behind that first choke point.
Interesting as well, TLR, looks like Keys is going to not play Reinhardt. He's going to go for Diva, so it'll be interesting who they're going to kind of nano boost up when Ana does get that ultimate ready. As we now will begin this round. And Endpoint, I like their kind of positioning, like you said. They just know where they want to be. They know what their choke point's going to be and where they're going to hold TLR. And I think the important character is going to be Quirks as Roadhog. I think TLR need to make sure they get him, and the Can Scout gets a nice early pick with that hook there.
Yeah, but it was a beautiful shield as well coming out from the defenders there. I believe it was JMC that managed to save Space's life, blocking off that damage. And it also means that he'll be able to do a decent amount of damage as well on that Zarya. That early percentage, if you block a full shotgun blast, you are going to get a good chunk. I believe it's about 50 that you get off the back of that. So we'll be able to layer out some damage with the artillery fire on Zarya. And actually, they're just going to chase on in here. They don't want to allow any ground for their opponents. And TLR, they've already lost a couple of members, and they might be losing a couple more. JMC about to go down. Can Scout as well. Look at that. Endpoint, they're starting things off just about right here. And well, what a defense coming out from them. This wasn't just like a stalemate like we saw before. Like the first defense from TLR, we saw this stalemate back and forth. Like neither team really winning the fight, but it was just TLR stopping the payload being moved. That was completely different from Endpoint. That was just annihilation.
Endpoint just focused really well. They took out Space's Lucio out first, and then Wing went down second, so both support characters were down. As we do see Sky just flanking around now. That's a very good use of knowing. He really knows the map, and you need that from a Genji player just to be able to get behind and use the map effectively. As the Riptide does come in, but he does actually manage to survive on just 9 health there, and Junkrat's just peppering bullets as he does see now TLR are pushing towards this kind of payload. but it's whether they're actually going to be able to get into a position to do anything. Sky, we saw this last time from TLR. Sky he's a nuisance, he waits, he says, look, okay, now let's go. And that's what he's going to do. He's just going to make sure he's a nuisance, wait for a couple of players to turn around.
I think as well, wait for his ultimate, right? He wants to get that up, but he's managed to find an enemy Mercy. Ayuki playing on that one, but he gets caught out, and Quirks will blast his face wide open. Masashi as well finds one onto Keys as the charge comes through. The Graviton Surge and the charge combo is going to find Can Scout's life right there. And TLR, once again, they're left running for the hills. They're being wiped off the server, and Endpoint, they are not going down on this map. They're saying, no, Dorado is our home turf. We're looking for a 1-1 scoreline at this rate. 1 minute 30 remaining on the clock, and TLR, they've got to make something happen soon, or they are going to be really struggling to push this one home across the rest of the checkpoints.
What's interesting is this was the map choice from TLR as well, so you wouldn't really expect this to be going the way it is, but at the moment, TLR just need to find an answer because Endpoint have just set up this wall and there is nothing for them. He goes down actually, but now the nano boost, there it is. He doesn't have whole hog to work with it, so actually it's pretty much useless, but that will be 4 members of Endpoint going down. But the revive comes out from Mercy.
Beautiful play out of Ayuki. Manages to pick up his entire team there. Is it enough though? Here we go. The tire just gets immediately destroyed. Blizz manages to get a kill. I think that was with the tire, but all in all, I believe that should be Endpoint just about wiped out at this stage. Or am I telling Porkies? No, it is. War Spirit on that point. No, I am telling Porkies. It's TLR that got wiped out. War Spirit there, managing to clean up house. And I've got to say, props to Ayuki. All down to him on that one. The res just absolutely saving the day for Endpoint.
Yeah, captain of the team there, just really pulling something spectacular off. TLR had to take down that Mercy if they were going to stop that revive. And he was able to survive, move away, and just res is just absolutely phenomenal from them. And now there's only 13 seconds, so TLR really need to do something. They need to do something fast. They don't have a nano boost to work with, so they're just going to have to take this team fight without any ults right now.
Well, aggressive play coming out from Sky there, just making sure that his presence is known, trying to distract his team, annoy the enemy team, sorry. But here we go, Graviton Surge comes on out. Key's just going to zoom away from that one using that Wraith form. And now they should be able to push forward. The res coming out from Ayuki, only onto 1 though. Is that going to be enough in this fight? JMC has gone down, but the enemy support as well. Space is about to get his sound barrier, but the rest of his team's just about dead. He needs to use it now or never. Gets it onto 2 people, and Sky gets his Dragon Blade. Maybe this is the combo that they need, but no. Shut down, locked out of the game. And well, Endpoint, they're back in this series. What a map from them. After the first map, so back and forth. TLR managing to edge it out in the end. This time, Endpoint just make a statement, 3-0. What a defense on Dorado.
I was saying how important Quirks was going to be as Roadhog, and we saw multiple times there him hooking Genji and not allowing Genji to get behind, especially at the end there, not allowing him to use that Dragon Blade. So fantastic work, a great response from Endpoint. It's exactly what they needed, and I am not entirely surprised that Ayuki got play of the match for this res, and I want to see where he was. He was just hiding. He knew what was going to happen. He said, look, there we go, there's the res. Fantastic work from him there, and Ayuki is the captain of the team, and he's the kind of, not necessarily the in-game leader, but he definitely would have been telling them, look, I've got my res, you just go in hard, and once you die, I'll just bring you back to life.
I love how even when it's Ayuki getting the play of the game as Mercy, in the post-game overlay, it says Ayuki's Tracer. Great stuff. But either way, that is going to be our series evened up right now. We had a 1-0 lead for TLR, but Endpoint, they've managed to comfortably close that gap. And now, for the first time, we're going to be jumping onto Watchpoint Gibraltar. Now, this is the map that has been quite common for that NIP composition. Do you think that is going to be the difference maker right now? Because it feels like Endpoint have basically spent the last 2 maps learning the NIP composition, and if Dorado is anything to go on, they've just about mastered it.
Yeah, but they didn't even have Ana. That was the thing. They just had the 3 tanks, and I think the important thing was the addition of Roadhog and getting those hooks, and definitely on Watchpoint and watching Ninjas in Pyjamas on Watchpoint Gibraltar is that Roadhog is key in that. Just getting those hooks and initiating those battles is absolutely perfect, and really you need to make sure you're targeting that Roadhog first, just because of the amount of health and the amount of damage that he does. He is essentially, I know he's a tank, but the amount of damage he does makes him kind of a DPS character. I mean, yeah. I've seen the argument happen many a time in competitive, like, oh, I'm a tank, I'm doing fantastic, I've got more kills. And people are like, well, Roadhog's kind of DPS, just because of how hard those bullets hit.
I think it's, if you can land hooks, you're basically a DPS at that stage. And if you can't, that's when his damage will really suffer.
I'd be worried.
You've got to be super up close to actually make that happen.
If you can't get those hooks as Roadhog, just don't play Roadhog. I'd be worried. If you're just missing everything, just kind of skip over, give it to someone else.
I would argue that at kind of pro play, it's very difficult to land those hooks, because when you're against good Zaryas, when you're against good Reinhardts as well, it can be very difficult to find your targets. But watch point Gibraltar is where we're going to finish this series. Endpoint up against TLR. Whoever wins this will move on into our grand final of Group A. And well, to be honest, having seen the games earlier, I wouldn't be too surprised if this is going to be a very similar matchup to when we see the grand finals of Group A.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's looking that way. These two teams are clearly a league above the rest. I mean, I don't want to be too harsh onto the other guys. They've obviously are performing very well, and actually, I'm really looking forward to that first losers bracket game because someone's going to get eliminated, and those two teams are definitely not going to want to go home early today. But focusing on this 1-1. Now, TLR, it looks like they're actually going to go for a Bastion on defense, possibly? Or are they on...
TLR
attack?
on attack.
So, they are going to go for an attacking Bastion,
attack,
which I have seen on Watchpoint Gibraltar in competitive play. I mean, not so much in, like, the top tier of Overwatch, but it is very effective if you can just eliminate opponents, especially if you're behind a Reinhardt shield as well.
Well, no aggressive defense coming out from Endpoint. They know exactly where they want to hold, staying way, way back. And there's something we see fairly often in competitive as well. You usually see a bit of congestion at the top over the bridge just there, but they are just going to push on forward and protect the president. Comes on through here. A little bit old school coming out from TLR, but if it works, it works. That's going to be what matters right now. And actually going for a route around, looking for the flanker, looking to start off the fight. Here they go. They've managed to get on the other side, and if they can force Endpoint into that room, they should be able to push this payload fairly effectively. Nice bit of interesting play coming out here from TLR, and Bastion is going to be sat there locking everybody in. Shower Gel is going to be dropping down, making sure that this is a difficult push for them, but he's got a Discord Orb and will get finished off. Keys is the one to grab the kill, and TLR, with a beautiful little strategy, might have just found their way onto the first checkpoint incredibly quickly. Shower Gel looking to contest, trying to get to that shuttle, and will be able to do so. Can Scout, though, gets the nano boost, charges forward, but gets shut down as well by that Earth Shatter. I don't think it's enough to actually finish him off, though, because that nano boost just makes him so difficult to deal with. Both Reinhardts go down after their epic battle, but it's still 4 versus 2 in favor of Endpoint. So despite the fancy feet, despite the positioning coming out from Endpoint, from TLR, sorry, it's not enough to get the first checkpoint.
Yeah, Ayuki getting that revive onto Reinhardt was key. I mean, even though that Can Scout was nano boosted there, the fact that the Earth Shatter came out and allowed that so much damage to go onto him whilst he was just unable to move there was pretty key. Can Scout did manage to take out the other Reinhardt, but great work from Endpoint. Despite the fact they looked like they were about to lose that team fight, I think the revive was probably what changed the wins of that fight.
Absolutely. Well, Wing going to be looking for some targets, looking to try and get some long shots out with his revolver here. Has the Deadeye available now. Only ultimate available on his team, but the rest of them are starting to get close as well. But on the other side, Endpoint already with the Graviton Surge, already Sound Barrier as well, and their Deadeye is about to come off cooldown. We'll see what they're going to be able to do. Who's going to be the first ones to really initiate things? Because often the first ones to use the ultimate aren't necessarily the ones that win the fight. Here we go, though. Blizz managing to find one. Gets shielded as well as they push on forwards. A nice flashbang is going to lock a couple of people up. Can Scout goes down. There goes JMC as well. And Endpoint once again winning out these fights. Ayuki did drop, but they've still got a support out there. They've still got Musashi healing. Shower Gel taken down. But once again, it feels like these kills from TLR just come out a little bit too late. They can't actually follow up on them.
Yeah, and Endpoint will be happy with that as well, that they killed Keys last, because Keys is going to be very important for this push because of that nano boost. We do see Graviton Surge is ready for JMC, and they're pushing in without Anna at the moment. They said, look, you can catch up. We've only got a minute left. Graviton Surge does come out as well as the Earth Shatter. Anna's still back at spawn, but the kills do come in from TLR onto Endpoint. But the revive, once again, from Ayuki, and this is going to be really hard to recover from by TLR now.
Yeah, it certainly is. Endpoint are definitely on top of things right now. Shower Gel just going to be smashed into the wall. Blizz has been up top this entire time. What a headshot onto Sky as well. A nice little mid-air Mambo kill coming out from him. Blizz has been fantastic on this McCree. I've got to say, his aim is on point here on the Cowboy. And Endpoint, well, their defense is absolutely stellar. Like, how do you push into this? They have barely lost a fight on defense since Dorado.
Well, what was demoralizing is that TLR had won that fight, but because Ayuki was just hiding away as Mercy, and then he flew in and rezzed 4 people, as now Blizz will use Deadeye. He's going to try and pick people off, but that Reinhardt shield is in the way, but he's being very patient with it. Does look like he's not going to get anything out of it, and we are into overtime going into this final battle, possibly.
Now or never for TLR. They've got to make it happen. Wing is going to use his own Deadeye. We'll see if he can be a little bit lucky. And nobody dying in this fight just yet, but Sound Barrier already down for the defenders of Endpoint. Maybe this is TLR's chance. They don't have any ults either, though. The overtime's so long right now without a single kill, but Sky is going to jump on it. Graviton Surge comes out from Endpoint. They're getting their ultimates available. Ayuki has that res. Kanscout is buffed up and ready for combat. Shower Gel is going to go down, and Kanscout still survives. He's looking for the DPS now as well, getting onto Blizz, and we'll be able to find him. There's a kill onto Quirt, but here we go. Ayuki is going to use the res. Does manage to get a few players up, and that might just be enough, but the Sound Barrier was still available for TLR. They still had cooldowns, and they might just be able to make this work. If they can get to the checkpoint, maybe they can make this happen, but Sound Barrier available for Endpoint now. But they are outnumbered. They seem to be outgunned. They are slowly but surely running out of members. Ayuki swapping now onto the Zenyatta because this fight has just not gone their way in the end after such a long, drawn-out overtime. The checkpoint is going to be reached here by Team Endpoint.
And Wing now changing to Tracer. He's kind of been playing support, but like he is known for his DPS, so he's kind of said, look, we need to do something, so he switched on over to Tracer. They've now got 2 minutes and 20 seconds to work with before this next checkpoint, but credit to Ayuki as Mercy. He really was just keeping Endpoint like just alive there, and he nearly did it again. He nearly got such incredible res there, but TLR just in the end had too much damage, and the nano boost onto Reinhardt was just too much for Endpoint. And we do see nano boost available once again for Keys now, so they are going to be able to push in with just a Deadeye as an ultimate on the opposition side of Endpoint.
Yeah, Wing playing the Team GB Tracer. You're going to see the Union Jack flying behind him. We'll see what he's able to do on this Tracer. He needs to make something happen because TLR across the rest of the team are just getting wiped out at this stage. Shower Gel grabs himself a couple of kills, and that is going to be a nice little bit of play from Endpoint. Interestingly, not running with the Ana anymore. We've got Ayuki on that Zenyatta. Transcendence will be available, but no one playing on that Ana. And we'll see whether that's going to make a difference moving forward, because that nano boost onto Kanscout will be huge in the upcoming fights, but not if Blizz can just take Keys straight out of the equation. Look at that from Sky as well. Jumps on forward, but gets flashbang. And that is going to mean he has to back away toward the rest of his team, but you can't deflect lasers, my friend. You aren't a Jedi. Shower Gel grabs 2 for himself, and TLR once again left running for the hills.
Very bold decision from Ayuki to change from that Mercy to Zenyatta as well, because he was obviously just surviving those team fights and getting those reses, but now he said, look, okay, we can't just survive. They managed to push that payload to the checkpoint. We can't allow that to happen again. We want to just hold them here in this warehouse, and he's just changed to Zenyatta, and he does have Transcendence available as a defensive ult in case that nano boost does come out from TLR.
Here we go. It's going to be down to whether or not TLR can make this happen. Once again, Dragon Blade will be available for Sky, so that could be absolutely huge in this upcoming team fight. But I like this position from TLR, making sure that no one can go and contest Sky on the payload for a little bit. But here we go. The blender comes into play, but it's not going to be enough. They do manage to shut down the Genji, which is huge in that kind of situation, but they're losing members, and Ayuki finds himself all alone. Transcendence would have won them that fight. I don't know where Ayuki was. I think he died just before the fight actually began, and it meant the Endpoint, unfortunately, cannot hold on to the second checkpoint. And TLR, they're staying in this one. 1 minute and 30 to finish off the map. But, you know, after that first point, after the overtime that we had at the start, it didn't look like TLR would even be in this situation.
No, and I mean, the change from Ayuki to get rid of Mercy is pretty big for me, and especially because he wasn't in that team fight there as Zenyatta. He wasn't able to use that Transcendence, which could have been the big difference. But TLR have been winning the team fights, but Endpoint have just been recovering because of that Mercy. So now without them, maybe it gives TLR the advantage pushing in here. Shower Gel is just kind of using that shield to try and delay TLR as much as possible. There is only 1 minute remaining, and actually now we see the switch to Widow from Sky.
Here we go. War Spirit has gone down early on here. We'll just res though, and they're so close to their spawn point at this stage that a single kill often doesn't make a difference in these late game team fights. You've got to find more. You've got to be able to follow that up with some extra damage here. Hull Hog available for Quirks if he can find good targets. If they can take down Kanscout's shield, then That's a fantastic opportunity to use that whole hog ultimate. But here we go, Space going to be pushing forward, using that speed boost so his team can be the ones aggressing. They're the ones that are now in control of this payload. A nice little kill onto Space there coming out from Blizz.
Yeah, just 15 seconds now, so TLR need to make a move, but their Space is still down, and he's going to help them move towards this payload. Someone needs to make a move now, though, because there are only 10 seconds left. Nano Boost is available from Key, so we will see the Nano Boost come out, but the Graviton Surge responds and holds him in place, but the charge will come out, so he is next to that payload.
Yeah, they are going to keep overtime ticking over right now, but CanScout and Keys have both already gone down. They've traded it for 3, though, and maybe Endpoint lose this fight if Wing can find more kills. We saw Sky trade onto that onto the Widowmaker. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. But in the end, that might have been the difference, but Blizz is not having any of it. Finds himself 3, looking for a 4th as well. Finds Sky as he tries to push the overtime further, but Keys has arrived once again. The spawns are so close to this point, and it is going to be Endpoint holding it in the end. I think that push was a little bit late coming out from TLR. I thought they weren't actually going to be able to hit the payload in time, but they do get there in the end. But Endpoint defend it. 2 points only for TLR. So now Endpoint, they've set themselves a target of just complete the map and we complete the series.
Yeah, TLR, they were just waiting and waiting for that right moment to push, and one person just kept getting picked off. It was an interesting choice of switching to Widowmaker for Sky, actually, because he switched to Widow and then he got picked off, meaning it was a 5v6 situation when they were trying to push there. And TLR just, they weren't quick enough. They finally got that nano boost onto Reinhardt. They got in, they got the kills, but Endpoint responded well, and they were just spawning so close to it that TLR weren't able to win a team fight. And with overtime there already, when they were still pretty far away, it was going to be a very uphill struggle for TLR. So fantastic work from Endpoint, and they're really showing up. They're really showing why they are the #1 seed in this, not just the group, but the tournament.
Yeah, and you just saw there on your screens that golden grid. That's all that Endpoint have to reach here. That's all they've got to do. Find that payload there, and they will be able to take this map. 1-1 in this series as well in the winner bracket final. Could be all that they need to be able to push on forwards. And you know, one of the things that these teams are playing for right now is just being able to play one less game. Like in this tournament, that fatigue does come into play, and it's another opportunity to stay away from the lower bracket. You want to get to that grand final. Only one team will leave this group and move on to Comic-Con. But if they can win this winner bracket final, it means they've got one less chance of being eliminated from the tournament.
So very similar compositions coming out of both teams, but just the main difference being that Ana from TLR. No Ana on Endpoint, but it's been working so far, actually. I mean, it was the Mercy that really made the difference from Ayuki, but he's going to stick with Zenyatta this time on offense, and I'm not really surprised because that Transcendence can be such a powerful tool when you're trying to push that payload. But now we will get into this first team fight, and Blizz is doing the same thing as usual, just putting shots into everyone he sees.
Yeah, and that's the kind of defensive position I was expecting to see there, where you just, even if you don't fully defend from on top of that bridge, you just get a few shots off early, start to try and charge some ultimates at least a little bit, and it's meant that Wing has actually managed to get 30% of the way there already on that Ana. No kills going either way just yet. And this is the point of contention. This is where the fight usually is going to be happening. Showergel on that front line, making sure that the enemies can't contest just yet. But here we go. The push will begin. Showergel doesn't quite manage to find the charge for himself. But all in all, they're starting to get some kills. TLR already lost 2, 3 now. As Masashi finishes one off. And well, fantastic defense to start things off. But is it a fantastic defense? I don't think it is. TLR, despite the fact that they lost a bunch of members. Oh, what am I talking about? It's Endpoint that pushing. It is Endpoint that pushing.
And the thing that Endpoint did well is they shut down Keys. I said Roadhog was going to be important defensively here. Endpoint, they targeted him, they singled him out, and they said, look, let's get that Roadhog down. They did, and then they all just kind of burst through. Wing didn't have his nano boost yet, so he wasn't even able to help and boost CanScout either. So Endpoint just kind of overwhelmed TLR whilst they tried to defend. And TLR now, they are just facing such an uphill struggle because there is so much time for Endpoint pushing in.
What a weird pull coming out from Keys just there. But here we go. It's going to be a couple of members dropping from Endpoint right now. High Noon will be available, but it's so risky to go for it when you're on such little HP, and I don't think Blizz is going to opt to waste that. Ayuki going to drop as well. And there we go. TLR managing to get control of this situation just a little bit there as they finish off War Spirit. I like that as well. while War Spirit's in the middle of all of them, they realize that he can't do anything. So just delay the kill on him slightly. Even if it just buys you 5 seconds, that's 5 extra seconds that you've managed to delay their next push.
I love what Endpoint are doing as well. They're kind of baiting the ultimate, the nano boost from Wayne. They're saying, look, okay, we'll let you win this team fight and we're not going to use anything. And then before your nano boost is ready again, we're going to push in with all of our ultimates. We see 5 of them up as Endpoint are now pushing in.
They absolutely are, and here we go. It is going to be Sound Barrier for TLR on the defense. They're trying to push back. It's going to be Masashi, though, finishes off Keys to kick things off. Earthshatter down as Shower Gel is locked in place by the Graviton Surge. And look at this, Endpoint still have 4 ultimates available. 3 members of TLR have dropped now. Sky's going to fall as well. Wing finds himself alone. And Endpoint, they only used 3 ultimates to win that entire fight. They didn't even need to use their entire arsenal, and they get themselves another checkpoint. Fantastic stuff coming out from Endpoint. And you know, after such a close first game, I was not expecting this series to be going as heavy-handedly towards Endpoint as it is.
Yeah, I think this might be all she wrote for TLR. Endpoint have clearly just worked out their strategy and they're countering it so well, just waiting for that nano boost, allowing them to get that one team fight win with that nano boost and then pushing in effectively. We do still see the Earthshatter available for Shower Gel as well, so he might be able to use that just to kind of take down CanScout if he does get nano boosted up. But Whole Hog now for Quirks as well, as we do see Endpoint pushing in, trying to take this payload further than TLR made it earlier in the round.
Yeah, that's all they have to do, just get past that glowing grid, and the Earthshatter is going to help them do that. Nano Boost will arrive, though, and that is going to go onto the hands of Keys. Whole Hog available for him. He's trying to push them away. He's trying to just contest this point, because if they lose this one, they lose the game right now. Wing goes down. JMC just trying to contest. CanScout just gets pushed away to the other side of the map. Discord on JMC will finish him off. There is Sky on the Tracer in the last second, manages to contest, but he's eliminated, and that is going to be the payload pushed on forward. Endpoint are going to be able to take the map 3-2 in the end, and that means that it is going to be 2-1, the final score for Endpoint. They take this series against TLR. What a good series, though.
Yeah, fantastic response from Endpoint as well. Just the fact that they really just read TLR and they said, look, we're happy for you to have that composition. We're just going to do something that counters it. And maybe we will see top tier players looking at this and saying, okay, so maybe this is kind of a counter. We don't really need to worry about the Ana so much. We do see Play of the Game coming out again from Ayuki with that Mercy. Honestly, he managed to make that defense for Endpoint. He made it so successful. The fact that even when they lost those team fights, when the Nano Boost came out, he just came along and rezzed them. And just great work from him. And I'm glad that I'm eating my words. That I did say last resort I thought they were going to win, but Endpoint really showed up. They really showed up.
And I think that's the key thing. Is like Endpoint, they came in as the first seed. They came in as favourites. And had they struggled a bit more in that series, we would have been looking towards the finals. Like, let's bear in mind they're against Team Project in the other bracket. Team Project looked like a very, very strong team. A couple of the old players from Choke Overwatch on that lineup as well. So that is going to be a force to be reckoned with as we head towards finals. And I'd obviously say that Team Project are the favourite in Group B, and that's the team that they're likely to be against in the finals if they make it to finals themselves. So they need to be putting on these strong showings. They have to be a solid team if they want to go through into the finals and if they want to go ahead and win at Comic-Con later on next month. But we're going to be going into a quick break, but we still have more Overwatch action coming up for you guys. Our losers bracket round of 2 is going to be coming up after the break, and it's going to be the Moped Drive-By squad up against Amazing Team, and we'll see who is going to hold on to their tournament life and move on to face TLR in the lower bracket final next week. We'll find out in just a few minutes' time.